what happened in the game. So e4, another Sicilian. Wow, so we have very aggressive player here. Knight f3, d6. Well, in this case, we are going to look at, is it the Najdorf? It is the Najdorf. Okay, one of the most richest openings ever played by man. Bishop e2. By the way, in this position, white tried almost anything. Just to highlight the board, we tried h3, maybe h4, or g3, g4. We tried f3, f4, bishop e3, bishop g5, bishop e2, a3. All of those moves, we tried all of them, and we still don't know what's the best move. So this is why this the system is so complicated. So a6. So Yaro chose to play the bishop e2 move. Knight goes to b3. So e5 it's a very committal move, because once black pushes this pawn to e5, basically he creates this outpost on d5 against this weakness, as well as the d6 pawn is a backward pawn on d6. So this is kind of the idea for white. White is probably going to try to attack the d6 pawn or put one of his knights on d5. Bishop e7 was played, castle, bishop e3, bishop e6, a4. So we see this move a4 in this game again. Knight bd7, queen d2, a5. Basically, white is getting some space on the queen side. Bishop to f3. This is actually a pretty interesting moment. For example, white does not want to play here f4, although he can. It looks like we are going to capture the bishop on e6, but in this case, black can probably just take on f4, and basically releasing black's pieces, maybe something like knight e5 or knight c5, and white creates this isolated pawn on e4. So this was not played. So bishop f3 instead, h6, knight to c1. You know my opinion about those moves, huh?
Well, you don't like them. I know already.
Backward moves. But, I mean, to his defense, to Yaro's defense, I mean, this knight is, it's a bit passive, I guess. So if you can see, he cannot go to c5. The c5 square is blocked. d4 also blocked. We can leave him on b3 to defend the a5 pawn if he wanted to. But again, if it would be up to me, I always say just keep your development. So obviously the worst piece in the position, in your opinion, what was the worst piece in the position for white? There's one guy that doesn't do anything.
Thank you for the visual assistance. I'm like, oh, it's like a game show here. I'm not feeling a lot with the bishop on f3.
That's true. The bishop is not doing much, but remember, we have to get control over the d5 square, just in case. And so black sometimes will try to push d5. So we want to overprotect this square on d5. Now, in my opinion, well, also we just played bishop f3, so. Well, I mean, you're right. The bishop here is not doing much, but where else would we put it, right? So in my opinion, maybe this rook on f1, I would just put it somewhere here on d1, and just to put some more pressure on the d6 pawn. So let's see what happens. So instead, knight to c1 was played. Let's see where this knight is going to. Going for a walk. Knight h7. Okay, you go backwards, I go backwards. g3, okay. Knight to d3. Wow, everybody is moving the knight backwards. Okay, okay. So we see some queen exchanges. Rook fd1. So far the position is probably pretty equal. Nothing much is going on. The bishop went to g2. Knight g4. Knight g5. I really like this move because now the knight is suddenly overlooks all those squares on h3, knight f3 check. Really the knight is feeling very jumpy over here. c3 was played. Okay. Rook f d8. Somehow in this position, I like black more and more. I mean, I like to compare pieces sometimes. Now, if you see, so white's rook on d1 is probably the best in the position. He attacks the d6 pawn. Black's rook is just defending the d6 pawn. But look at all his other pieces. I mean, we have the two knights here on e2 and e1, not doing much. This bishop is kind of stuck upon this pawn on e4. This rook has to defend the a5 pawn. On the other hand, look at black's pieces. I mean, this knight is attacking. This bishop has an interesting potential on this diagonal. And the knight here on g5 is attacking the e4 pawn. So I really like Jeffrey's position more and more. King f8. All right, let's activate our king in the endgame. Knight c2. Check. Knight c1. Not sure where this knight is going to. Maybe the plan was to play something like knight d3 and knight e1 and then take up this pawn f3. This pawn is a little bit behind enemy lines. d5. All right. So we have some explosions in the center. Pawn takes on d5. Bishop takes d5. King f1. Going back. We got some exchanges. King to e1. And g5. This is a very important move. I think that the plan is to play g4. So now we are at the position right now. Looks like I would definitely prefer black here. I mean, all of his pieces are much better. I think maybe black is planning to play g4 and rook h8, attacking this pawn on h2. I don't know how you defend that, to be quite honest. I mean, you have to bring your king back to g1, but then we have some back rank mates on d1. And look at Yaro's time, by the way. So Yaro has only 6 minutes, and Jeffrey has 30 minutes. That's a big difference, right?
Right, exactly. Cramped and low on time. Now remember, I mean, it's not 5 minutes and 51 seconds straight up. You know, there is a 30-second increment. You will gain 30 seconds with each move, but still quite the significant advantage for Jeffery Xiong right now.
Yeah, I would, if it would be my bet, I would just probably g4, and even if white tries to play something like knight e3, attacking this pawn, well, I can just play f5, and oh boy, those pawns are coming, and you know the rook can even swing to h8, and I mean you will have to put your knight on f1 to defend this pawn. That's not a good sign. Now the knights, by the way, took the bishop's spots. Knight on f will be on f1, and knight is going to be on c1. So yeah, yeah, I'll put my money on Jeffrey. It looks like.
Of course, he's just joking. We're not gambling. All right, so let's take a look at
game of the day. Let's look at one of our first decisive games of today. Today, at this moment, I have Grandmaster Jeffery Xiong. Welcome to our studio. Congratulations for the win.
Thank you.
Nice. So, did you prepare a lot for this game against Yaro?
I prepared a bit, but the line that he selected caught me off guard.
Okay. Yeah. So we saw that you guys played the Sicilian. Where I was just telling that the Najdorf is probably one of the sharpest openings that we have today.
Sure.
And then Bishop e2, e5, Knight b3. This is pretty much old theory, probably.
Yeah.
Bishop e7, castle, Bishop e3, Bishop e6. This is all standard. Although white sometimes can castle long, right, instead of castling short.
I'm not sure. Usually they castle short in this line.
Okay. So bishop to e6, and then a4. I assume you felt pretty comfortable to play this with black, right?
So far, yes, but actually after queen d2, rook rook a5, I had a big thing. Because, okay, normal move maybe is something like queen c7, but I was kind of concerned about if he plays, let's say, rook fd1, and then it's not easy for me to play because he has very good control of d5. I mean, queen c6, f3 leads to nothing.
Right.
And eventually he just wants to play like rook ac1 and knight d5, and then start blasting open the queen side.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the weaknesses in this position, right? This annoying square on d5, and also d6 might be hanging at some point. Okay, so
yeah, so I wasn't sure. So that's why I went for rook e8, because just kind of a waiting move even. And I guess the idea is that once he plays knight d5, maybe rook e5 will open, and rook can be useful there.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So he decided to play here bishop f3.
Yeah, here I was a little bit surprised because I thought f3 maybe makes more sense.
Just pawn f3, right?
Because bishop on e2 is quite good because it stops any b5 ideas, for example, and controlling c4.
Right, it looks a little bit weird. I think that his idea maybe was to fianchetto the bishop, but eventually did not work so well. Obviously, if he tries to play here, f4 is too aggressive, right?
I think, yeah, here maybe it's, I'll just take and probably knight e5. And rook on e8 now makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But okay, so after bishop f3, yeah, I played h6, kind of preparing the idea in the game. And he also decided to improve his knight with knight c1.
Yeah, I was actually discussing, we were looking at this position live, and, and I said, I really don't like going with my pieces backwards.
Yes.
So sometimes it's good, I mean, but this move knight c1 was very...
yeah, probably I think it was a little bit early. He should have maybe started with rook fd1 and then see what happens.
Right, yeah, rook fd1 is just much more natural to me, and I assume it will play something like maybe queen c7 here, or maybe like bishop
yes,
c4.
perhaps queen c7, yes. It's, normal game.
Okay, so he played knight c1 was played, and then...
Yeah, knight h7 I think was timely, because this dark for bishop trade is usually favorable for me. And then I have control of c5 square, which I can maybe put something there later. So.
Right. Were you thinking about f5 at some point, or that's probably too dangerous?
Yeah, it's probably too much, because his bishop on f3 is doing nothing, so I don't see why I should open it.
Exactly. Okay. So g3, weakening the bishop on f3 a bit. No, I think maybe that's the move who that got you the point. No, g3 and weakening the white squares.
I'm not sure. Maybe okay. I was
maybe
expecting
it helped.
to play rook e1. Yeah, it definitely weakened f3, but what probably he criticized later is after g3, bishop g5. Knight d3. Yeah, here I decided knight b8, probably a decent move. Knight on c6 is quite strong. And yeah, this is the move he criticized, because this basically allowed me to improve my pawn structure, and then now this g3 move really started to really weaken his position, because so after takes, and he started experiencing these problems which you mentioned.
Right. And the queen exchange was pretty good for you, right? Because now his queen is not there to attack the d6 pawn.
Yes, c2 and a5 are weaker now without the queen's help.
Right.
So yeah, this endgame was probably quite unpleasant. And knight c6, knight e2.
Yeah, it's probably very difficult for white to find a plan here. I mean,
There is no plan, because I think just this a5 and e4, he has to keep an eye on that, and he simply can't do anything.
Yeah, that's silent suffering.
Yeah. This was
Knight e2 was played, and then g4. That's nice. You got some space here. I was telling you this knight looks pretty beautiful here. And I think after this move, knight e1, I was mentioning that I really like black's pieces. I mean, the position looks pretty bad for white. Just those knights on the e2 and e1 do not do much.
Maybe the critical is, yeah, so after king f8, he has to try to do something. I was looking at f4 maybe. But f4, let's see, I take, en passant, takes, knight e4, knight e5. I mean, instead of knight f3, probably knight e4 is more critical.
Right, you're just winning a pawn, correct.
Knight e5, and I think just de simply was strong.
Right, knight e4, knight e5.
Knight e5, de was, I think was
And then
very
it
good,
takes
yes.
on e4.
Yeah, now I can even just win the a5 pawn. Takes on d1, takes on a5.
Right.
Yeah, so this one didn't work. Let's try to go back. He could also try...
But you know what? I mean, this position might have been much better than what he got in the game, because at least somehow looks like his bishop is more active and his rook on d1.
Yes,
but
bishop is more active, but unfortunately I think I can just start rolling with f5. So
right. Yeah.
probably also lost. But after... Okay, the other thing you try is maybe knight c2 immediately.
Right. Maybe to put the knight on d5 somehow.
Yeah, if you can get a knight on e3, maybe it's more reasonable, but maybe the problem is bishop b3, perhaps?
Right. Yeah, the spin is quite annoying.
And now, I think he has to go rook
Rook
d2,
d2.
because rook c1, knight f3 might be an issue. So, rook d2 probably... I was trying to see if knight f3 led to anything.
Right.
Maybe...
Yeah,
probably
rook-
it's good enough. I mean, knight f3 takes, knight c1 takes, d5, I think. It's very powerful.
Knight c1.
Because actually, it's already the only square. Whereas knight, and now d5.
Yeah.
And now he has to take, and then...
Then you take
Take
control
at
over
least-
the d
at
file.
least- At least rook d5. There might even be some other move.
Yeah, there's some
Knight d4,
checkmates
d5,
here.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this is-
it's very difficult to find a plan here for white. Okay, so he played rook d2 instead, king e7, nice inclusion of the king.
Yes, and now it's just hard for him to make any move.
Then he check,
Yeah, now this same, similar line.
and d5 was an important push. Obviously, take. And then you didn't want to take with the rook, right?
I thought taking with the bishop saves one tempo,
Mhm.
but probably, rook takes is very strong as well. King f1, bishop e6. Yeah, and he always has to watch out for rook h8 in this position.
Right, that was the problem, yes, the h2 pawn. And then, okay, obviously rook d1 now is coming, so he has to defend.
Yeah.
And now g5 was a pretty good move. I think after g4. Were you expecting this move here, h4?
I saw it was a move, but I was pretty sure it shouldn't be good.
Right.
I thought, okay, maybe if he waits, perhaps, like let's say he just plays knight f1, knight e3 for the rest of his moves. I wasn't sure exactly how to proceed. Because I can maybe put my king on g5, but I'm never sure about f4, because then he can play knight d2 and maybe he gets control of e4. So still, I guess there was some work to do if he just waited here.
Yeah. What about maybe activating this knight? Maybe somehow play this e4
Definitely
and then knight
this
e5.
idea made sense.
So lots of even like rook d5 and taking this
Rook
a5.
d5, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Many options, but okay.
Yeah, so h4
After
was a gamble.
h4 takes. I guess king f7 was a pretty good move, because now he can't take an h3 because of f4.
Oh, okay. So if rook takes h3, then we have f4, and then this check doesn't work, right?
Yeah, then I can hit the rook now.
Yeah, king g6. Okay.
So now, yeah, he had to waste time with knight f1, but now you just pick up a5. b4, yeah, b4 was not necessary, but okay, it's lost anyway.
Takes.
Yeah, after b6, he just doesn't have a move. Sorry, king g6 first, rook h4, b6.
b6. Okay. So he has to pretty much just move the rook on the h file.
Pretty much, but then a5, a4.
So that a pawn is rolling. Okay, very nice. Very nice game, Jeffrey.
Thanks.
Who are you playing next?
Tomorrow I have black again against Dario Swiertz, also from Sluice.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in your next game tomorrow. And we are going to go for some commercials. I'll see you back when we come back.